Hello wrestling fans, the Wrestling Wizard here and welcome to another video. Now today's video is a bit of a fun video, to be honest with you. It's very much going to be a back and forth in opinion between myself and you, the viewers, the subscribers, on how you would book Bray Wyatt if he was launched into the WWE universe right now. Now the chances of Bray Wyatt signing for WWE are ridiculously high, and I would go as far as to say probably has already signed. WWE do not want you to know about this at this point. They want it to be a shock, surprise, out of nowhere, a shock of the last decade and a major return with a major pop. You think about it, it is so exciting the fact that we could see Bray Wyatt return to WWE at Clash at the Castle as soon as that, on a Raw, on an episode of SmackDown. It could happen at any point, and that is mouthwatering. However, you do not want to see WWE creative make the same mistakes they made before under Vince McMahon. And if you go all the way back to Bray Wyatt's release, and the reasons for his release was due to issues with creative frustration with the booking of the Fiend alter ego, and understandably so. Early on, in the early stages of Bray Wyatt, the Fiend alter ego, and the introduction of that, you can clearly see that Bray Wyatt had a lot of creative control. Those early Firefly Funhouse segments, apparently Vince let Bray sort of do his own thing on that, and it was fire, it was magic. The debut at SummerSlam was just, remember those "This is awesome" chants? Like, I remember being like absolutely shocked at how good that gimmick was at that stage. And then of course Vince got his hands on it. We know what happened after that, and Bray was very frustrated. But if you think right back to the start, the way WWE portrayed the Fiend character was not the vision that Bray Wyatt had. He wanted to go down more of a psychological horror route rather than this supernatural overload and overexposure and pushing into the title scene far too soon. And that was very much Vince just getting trigger happy, really, to be honest with you. So does a lot need to change? Now this is all assuming that if Bray Wyatt returns, he's going to return as Firefly Funhouse Bray or something similar to that, crossed with the Fiend alter ego. We could see a new incarnation of the Fiend entirely. We really could. And that's exciting. But I honestly wouldn't change too much. Keep it simple. Remove the majority of the supernatural stuff. There's a time and place for that, and Bray Wyatt is an absolute genius and can make that work within pro wrestling in his own unique way. However, I think it would be more of a logical decision to go down more of that psychological horror route. And we are on this journey with Bray Wyatt in almost this rebuilding stage. You could add real life elements to kayfabe storylines. You really could. And you could really have this longer term storyline arc. It's so tempting to go for the low hanging fruit, the short term win, by just having the Fiend re-emerge, attack Roman Reigns and take the belt. But where do you go from there? There needs to be a long term story arc. And we could be on this journey where we see the rehabilitation of Bray Wyatt. We might not see the Fiend for some time, because due to creative genius storytelling, the whole story is Bray Wyatt's going to build himself back up, get that power back, and we see the Fiend. Now if we see the Fiend again, we might see some slight subtle changes. It could just be a subtle change to his mask and his presentation. You don't need to change much to go far. Look at Karrion Kross, puts a bit of hair on his head, gets Scarlett back, and all of a sudden he's a weapon in the main event scene, booked properly. You don't need to change a lot about what we saw before. You just need to almost rewrite the wrongs from previous. The main issues that the fans have with Bray Wyatt and the Fiend alter ego wasn't actually the gimmick, the character itself, it was the booking. The Goldberg situation, we won't go into that again because we'll cry, right? The Seth Rollins Hell in a Cell situation. WrestleMania 37. This was not Bray Wyatt's vision. And he could, and we're patient with this, systematically correct a lot of those wrongs that we saw before. And that's the way I'd like to see it. Really simply strip it down. It could be something as simple as we see Bray Wyatt introduced. We may not necessarily immediately see the Fiend, that could come later. And he sort of plays with Seth Rollins' mind. Now Seth Rollins has made it no secret that he'd love to work with Bray Wyatt again. And I think that's going to happen down the line, because they surely couldn't have been happy with that Hell in a Cell situation. They weren't happy with that Hell in a Cell situation, so they could rewrite some magic once more. Alexa Bliss is in need of, in my opinion, a character shake-up, because she's been in limbo for quite a while. WWE not really knowing what to do with her. She's now lost the Lily doll. And remember what the psychiatrist said? You'll be fine so long as you have the Lily doll. Well, she hasn't got the Lily doll, so she's not going to be fine in theory, right? So she could go psycho again, and there could be some sort of tie-up with that, because let's not forget that Alexa Bliss cost The Fiend a matchup against Randy Orton on the grandest stage of them all. Goldberg, that's really simple. Goldberg wants to come back to WWE at some point. He'll come back when he's like 80 years old, and you could then have that rematch up, Bray Wyatt or The Fiend versus Goldberg, and getting his revenge on Goldberg. But you can systematically almost do it in reverse, because if you go all the way back to SummerSlam 2020, it's kind of where the downfall, the demise of The Fiend happened, when Roman Reigns came out, attacked him, called him a freak in a mask, and then the next pay-per-view or premium event, Payback, he lost the belt, albeit he wasn't pinned, remember? And now you would be annoyed, you would be pissed, you'd want to get revenge. And so there's a story arc there. However, take your time with that. Build to that in time. You could tease that. You could let your intentions be known, but don't throw Bray Wyatt straight into a Roman Reigns feud, because that could go south very, very quickly, especially how over Reigns is at the moment. I don't think it'd be the right time. Down the line, yes, but be patient. I just think we could be on this journey where you just see he's a bit damaged from the past, psychologically maybe not quite in a cuckoo place, and then of course, you know, we build up to this, you know, getting his power back, you know, systematically over time. That's what I would love to see personally. I think just keep it simple. You've got to trust Bray in the storytelling. You know, a lot of what he does is away from the ring, and we follow him along these amazing journeys. Like, you don't need to overcomplicate things. Fans were annoyed for a number of quite obvious reasons, and you can easily correct those over time. You can, and you can actually aid and benefit other characters down the line. And if you did, say for instance, pair The Fiend and Alexa Bliss back up once more, or you shake up Alexa Bliss's character down the line, then you've got a mouth-watering potential matchup with Scarlett and Karrion Kross. There's all sorts that can go on. Demon Finn Balor versus The Fiend. I mean, Edge. You know, we've explored the possibility about those two teaming up. You still can't completely write that off with those cryptic videos down the line. Albeit I think that was a bit disappointing. I have got a video coming up on that very soon, by the way, to hopefully tie up a few loose ends on that. But the possibility is endless. But in summary, I would just say don't rush the whole Roman Reigns revenge sort of storyline. You can correct a lot of those wrongs over time, but literally over time. Like, don't rush it. As always, been really appreciative. If you're going to like this video, share this video, subscribe if you're new. I can't wait to see your thoughts and opinions in the comments section. I love reading about them. But for me, just simplify it. Like, no need to overcomplicate it. And if we see something new and exciting and fresh come up, even better. Like, I'm all game for it, because I trust Triple H, and I definitely trust Bray Wyatt to work some magic in WWE once more. Thank you. See you soon.